All right, welcome. This is live, eh?
Yes.
Okay, nice. All right, so good afternoon, guys. And sorry, I had to, go on a break. I had a meeting that I couldn't miss. All right, so we'll just take a quick recap of what we've done, and then get up to speed with the moment. So we'll be going on a technical session later on, after the recap. So I hope we have our laptops and yeah, so we'll get to it now. So, okay, before that, let me answer the questions we have. So, I said we should send questions in, any questions we had earlier on. So I think I'll just get to answering that now before we pick up what we have to do. So, said, are there specific WASM languages supported, or all WASM languages are supported with libraries and SDK support? Okay, so right now, there's just support for Solidity, and there are FIPs, Filecoin Improvement Protocols, proposals rather, in progress to support other languages. So this is something that the Filecoin Foundation plans to make possible in the nearest future. But currently, we have just Solidity, we have Viper, just the mainstream smart contract languages. Yeah. So very soon, we'll be able to use other WASM languages. Does that answer the question? All right. So the second question we have is, what's the difference between FVM and FEVM? So uh, there's not much difference, I'll say. So it's basically just a naming convention. So basically, the FVM is a Filecoin Virtual Machine, and this consists of both the native machine and then the EVM, while the FEVM is just basically Filecoin Ethereum Virtual Machine. It's literally the same thing. Right. So, are there any more questions? Okay. All right. None. So let's just go to what we have for the moment, and then a quick recap of what we did earlier on. So we had a recap of yesterday's session where we saw what the FVM is, so which is the execution layer of the Filecoin blockchain, and helps us to use smart contracts and then run them natively on chain. Then we saw that what it brings programmability to Filecoin, is the EVM for decentralized storage and all that. We saw what makes it different from other Ethereum based chains or Ethereum virtual machine blockchains like Ethereum, like Arbitrum, Optimism, and the rest. So we saw that it also supports WASM based actors or smart contracts, then uses IPLD for state storage. It's designed for interoperability, so you have both native field and EVM factors, actors rather. We have powerful actor models with built-in methods. And then we saw why FVM matters, which is because it brings programmability for decentralized storage. It automates access control, rewards, and DAOs. And then we have key use cases which other blockchains most likely do not have. Then we also started looking at the FVM architecture, or we saw the actor layer, which is literally the smart contract layer, or what the users interact with at first, or what the your users interact with at first, and basically where your logic lives. So we saw a little bit on these actors or these smart contracts, and then we saw the runtime layer, the FVM runtime layer, which manages the actor execution within the chain. We also saw the WASM execution engine. So this is basically what handles everything, you know, uh, that lies deep. So instead of just the smart contracts on the surface, this one handles all the requests and then executes all smart contracts uh, transactions. So then we have the sys calls, which is your bridge to the chain. I think we didn't touch this earlier on, but then this basically we said something about sys calls before when we said these are what you use to interact with other smart contracts or other actors on the blockchain. So we have inbuilt syscalls as well. So inbuilt functions that smart contracts can directly call to either query the state of the blockchain, to send messages or tokens. And then we also have other states. We have the invoke EVM state. We have the invoke EVM function, and then a couple of other functions that are inbuilt on the FVM. So most of these functions or most of these methods can be seen when you visit the Explorer, and then you see some of these functions on uh, transaction pages. So predefined functions that actors can call to. Okay, I mentioned some of this earlier. We have the query blockchain state. So for query blockchain states, there's get randomness, there's a few of other ones. So to get maybe block time, to get stuff like that, just basic information about the state of the blockchain at that moment. Then we have send, which is to send messages, to send tokens. And this is also available in a couple of other blockchains. And then we have to access actor state or to access the smart contract state. We have store and then we have load. So basically acts like the API between your contract and Filecoin system level actors. So it helps you just to interact with Filecoin system level actors or Filecoin's inbuilt actors directly from your own smart contract or from your own actor, like we said. So this is a basic illustration of the architecture. So 1 minute. Okay. So on this illustration or in this illustration now we can see that we have actors, three actors, we have FVM and then Filecoin blockchain. So these actors are basically what you as a user interacts with, or I as a user interact with. And then these actors go directly to the FVM runtime layer, which you see down, and then the WASM execution engine. And then these transactions or these messages are stored on the Filecoin blockchain. So it's as easy as that, or quite straightforward, right? So this is the slide for the first section we had earlier on, and I think next we're just going to a technical or hands-on session. All right. So this second session is called Building with FVM. I would not be sharing slides for this, but I'll be sharing my screen to show all we'll be doing. So we have building with FVM, and then we are going to be focusing on building with Solidity in this case. So before we start, I'll provide a scaffold repository, which I'm going to initialize right now. So just give me 2 3 minutes to push to GitHub, and then it will be available for all of us to make reference to for this section. Okay. All right. So I'm pushing now. Okay. Okay. So I'll share the link in the chat here. Okay. Okay. So I've shared the link in the comments or in the chat here, and I'll also share it on the Telegram group right away. Okay. Oh, okay. So it has been sent to the chat. All right. Okay. So I'll share my screen now. I think I can share this next step. I'm trying to share. Okay. Okay, is my screen visible? Okay. Okay, it should be visible now. All right, nice. Okay, so this is the scaffold repository we'll be using, at least for the course of this um, session. Okay, so I'll need everybody to clone this repository on their laptops. So one more thing we'll be needing is Node.js. We need Node.js installed on the laptops. So if you do not have Node.js installed, I would send a link to download that now. So basically, nodejs.org. Okay. Okay. I've also sent the link on the Telegram uh, group, so you can download Node.js. So if you have Node.js installed, I think we can go forward. Okay. So if you want to use this command in the repositories README, I think I'll just update the repo URL in the README so you can easily just copy that and use in your own terminals. Okay. All right. So now you can just copy the um, command and then use that directly. Oh, okay. So one more thing. Bootcamp. All right. So I think that should be fixed. So you can just copy the command we have in the README and then use that directly. So once you run that, the repository should be cloned on your local machine or on your laptop and set up completely. Okay. So if anyone has been able to do that, kindly comment in the chat or on the Telegram chat if you're having an issue or if you've been able to set it up. Okay, one person done. Let's see if we have another person who's been able to complete. Okay, right. Okay, okay. Have a couple of people done. All right, that's nice. So next steps, let's install the dependencies. So I'm also setting it up on my second machine. So I'm like following through like everyone else. All right, so run npm install. That's after you located your target repository, which is the FVM bootcamp repo. So let me know if you have completely or successfully installed the dependencies. You can send that in the chat, maybe on Telegram or here. Okay. That might take a moment depending on how fast your internet is. All right, so you can send the chat in the Telegram or here if you are done with the npm install. Okay, so mine is done. Okay, so one person is done. Let's wait for the others. All right, still waiting for others. I think it should be an internet speed issue. All right, it seems like most of us are done. So I think we could just go forward. I think just one more person is left. Yep. All right. So uh, you can also run this command cp.m.example space.m. So what this does is it copies the example m file we have and makes a .env file for you. So this is also necessary. So we would have the, because in the .m.example we have private key, which is your wallet's private key here. So you copy this, create a .m file, and then replace your private key. So this private key can be gotten from MetaMask, the wallet we set up yesterday. So if anyone is having an issue getting their private keys, do let me know. Okay. So if you're able to do that, get your private key successfully, I think you can also send the chat in Telegram, so I know that you're following. Okay. Waiting for your comments in Telegram. If you're having an issue getting your private keys, also let me know. So I'll put you through or show you how to just go around MetaMask and get this. Currently not seeing any comments in Telegram. So I assume a couple of us have successfully done that, or we don't have issues setting that up. All right. So yesterday we looked at deploying a smart contract using Remix. Today we're using Hard Hat as our tool or preferred developer tool here. So in this scaffold repository, there's a file called counter.so. You'll find that under contracts and then counter.so. So this is basically what we'll be using. But before we also do that, I'll also show you how to start up your own scaffold project or your own repository, so you don't have to refer to this every single time you want to build on FVM. Okay. So moments. Okay, so setting up your own local project using hard hat is pretty simple once you have npm installed, that's Node.js, on your laptops. So you would navigate to your repository or your folder where you want to initialize your repo. So in this case, I used Few Bootcamp here. So let's assume I want to initialize a new repository under another folder. So I'll just create a new terminal session, and then uh, so let me head to the new folder I want to use. So I want to use the folder FEVM starter. So I'll go to that folder in my terminal, and then I'll run npx hard hat. So what npx hard hat does is to create a basic sample project for you. So this is basically the hard hat CLI, and then you have an interactive prompt on what to create. So here we'll choose to create a JavaScript project. Then I'll confirm the folder I want to use. Mostly say yes to some of the suggestions. So do you want to add a .git ignore? And that's useful. And then do you want to install this sample project dependencies with npm? So that's basically the npm install we did earlier on our own sample repo. Okay, so this might take a while. Okay, done. And then we can also I'll open this new repository so we can use it to follow through. Right. So by default, hard hat comes with this ignition folder. Right now, we're not going to be using that. Comes with the test folder, which is for the modules in ignition, and then contract folder. This contains our own smart contracts that we need. or the default smart contract because we would not be using lock.so. And then you can also see the node modules folder, which is not needed for you right now. That's basically the modules you need in the application. So it's not something you need to edit or you need to make reference to. So once you run npm install, that will be automatically available. Then you also see test, another test, we see log.js. So this is used to test the contract we have deployed. Then we have .git ignore. This basically files you don't want to upload to Git. We have the hard hat config file. So what this does is basically contains the configurations for your hard hat project. So it's in this file we'll have the networks we want to deploy to, and then we can have various networks under this. So if you look at the templates repo we have, just occurred to me that I was not sharing the current window I'm working from. So let me switch to that. Oh, okay. So for this error you have, um, Olale, I think what you need to do is to set your private key. This is just showing that you didn't set your private key in the .env file, like I mentioned earlier. So for anyone who is also facing the same issue, uh, run this command here in the README file. So this cp env.example, yeah, run that command in your terminal. So when you run this command in your terminal, it copies the env example file and creates a .env file for you. So once you have done that, you would go to your .env file and then replace the template private key with your own private key from MetaMask. So let me know if you've been able to fix this. You can also make a comment if you are done with that. And for anyone who also faced the error, you can let me know on Telegram if you've been able to fix it or if not. And just to confirm, we we have not gotten to the hard hat compile section, which should be where you got this error from. So we'll get to that in a bit. But for now, let's still look at the repository to understand or have an overview of what it entails. All right. I don't know how long this comment will stay on the screen, but it's blocking my terminal here. Is this something you can help with? Okay. So let's also still go over our repository here. So when you initialize your hard hat repo, it comes with a few folders. So I'll share a basic repo now. Okay, I'll I'll reply in the Telegram chat, Vandra, for the error you're having. So you do not need to run npx hard hat in the FEVM bootcamp repository anymore. I was only showing you for um, a case where you have to initialize your own repository or your own project. So you don't need to run npx hard hat here, right? So the command you need to run in this folder or in our own repository right now is the cp. I'll type it and I'll send it in the chat here. So cp.env.example and then space .env. So that's to enable you have your own .env file. So I've sent the command to the Telegram channel. All right. So once you are done with that command, you should have a .env file. Okay, you're working with the FEVM bootcamp, the repository folder we have. That's what I'm going to share now. I was only showing you an example of what a starter repo looks like without any scaffolding. Right. Can you drop a comment on the Telegram if you've been able to do that? Okay. Yes, I will miss school. Yes. That's if you want to create a new project for yourself. Okay, so with that done, let's go forward to our own project. That's the FEVM Bootcamp. So I'll share that window back. No, you're not placing the private key in both the .env and .env.example. You just need it in your .env file, so you don't mistakenly push it to GitHub. If you mistakenly push it to GitHub, then hackers can drain your funds, and that's something you don't want. So just use the .env file. That's to Simon on the Telegram group chat. So just going through the repository, we can see our own contract on that's counter.so, which is the same thing we'll be using as a scaffold here. So we'll also be editing this file to add a new function. So like I commented out here, I commented add reset function. So we'll be doing that together. It's a very simple function. So on your own repositories, you should have contracts, counter.so, and then log.so. Log.so is the default smart contract there. We are not going to be making use of that. You should have ignition slash modules. Once again, we are not making use of this at the moment because it was the default one. You should have node modules currently because you've run npm install successfully. You should also have scripts and then deploy.js under scripts. We'll be making use of this today because it's going to be deploying our counter.so smart contract, right? And then there's also a test folder which we would also not be using currently. So this basically helps you. This is the folder you place your test for your smart contract, just to ensure everything is working. Then you should have .env. You should have .env.example. You should have .gitignore, and then your hardhat config file, hardhat.config.js, then the package files from JSON. You should also have the README file here. All right. It seems like my screen is not showing on the stage. Uh, Let me reshare my screen. Sorry, can you help with adding my screen to the stage? I think I mistakenly removed it from the stage. Oh, okay. For the error you're having, I think the Node.js version I have installed should be 22.9.0. Okay. Thanks. Okay. I am for the error you're having, I think it's because you downloaded the current Node.js version. I usually prefer downloading the long-term support, the LTS version. So if you can probably switch to the LTS version, I think that's what had supports currently. But that should also not stop you from um, doing what we have to do currently. But if you can get it done, that would be nice. Okay, so let's go forward. Just keep me updated on the Telegram group chat if you are able to get it done in time. Thanks. Okay, so briefly, we'll just be compiling and deploying our smart contracts that we have here, the example smart contract we have. So, okay, Banjo, to recap the process of cloning and installing again. Okay, so uh, can you see the link Mr. Enoch shared earlier, the FVM Bootcamp link? I'll tag that now, or I would send it again. So what you need to do is to git clone and then impute this URL. That's the repo URL. So if you open your terminal by default, your terminal should be on the home page. So you should go to desktop and then you can do this, or go to whatever folder you want the repository to be in. Okay. So after cloning, do cd FEVM bootcamp. So this should redirect to the clone folder you have. Okay, and then after doing that, you can do npm install. Okay, so if you've done that, then you can also do the cp.env.example. That's this one here, right? Okay, done. So if you've done that, then you should be able to see a .env file in your own repository there. Can you see that? Okay, so in that .env file, replace the template private key there. No, you see your wallet private key here. So replace that with your own private key, your actual private key from MetaMask. So that should be in .env, not .env.example. Have you done that? Okay. So if you've done that, then I think you've set up the repository properly, and we can move forward. Just to confirm, you're not having any errors anymore, right? All right. So let's go forward. Good. Let's go forward. So, like I said, we should have the counter.sol file in our contracts folder. All right, so we have counter.sol, and then if we look through that file, we'll see a basic smart contract that follows the Solidity syntax. We have the license as the first line, we have the Solidity version we are using, and then we have our smart contract, which is named counter here. Then we have the whole smart contract. We have declared the count, which is a public value, a public integer, and then we have the function increment, which increases our count value by one. We have the decrement function, which decreases our count by one, and then we'll add the reset function, like I commented out here. Then we also have a get count function, which should return the number of counts we have on the blockchain. So this is just like a broad or big overview, since we're not going into Solidity in depth today, right? So what I need you to do is npm run compile. Oh, sorry. Let me switch to npm run compile. Okay. So because I've compiled the contract before, it says nothing to compile. But on your end, you should get something similar to this. You should download the compiler and then compile the Solidity file successfully. Okay. So confirm you have been able to do that on the group or in the comments. Oh, uh, okay. Mando, is that the Filecoin workspace? Okay, let me give you a few minutes so you can set that.
You want to continue now? Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry. The light is off right now. So we're trying to
Okay.
put it on again.
Okay, no
If you
problem.
can just hold on for like, I don't know, 5 minutes, I guess.
Okay, no problem. That works.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
As far as it makes sense, that's a very polish. And you do, there's a lot of things to do. I was when you centralized existing system. Feel like people like web centralized communication system. You know, pick out some of those problems where you just report a single different account. And different way of that communication and I think so something like that. There's not so much, not just financial. You just enable it
Hi Siri, how you doing?
and I see that that's one of many use cases are limited thereby. It's not just like that's where like most of the ones are
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm still here.
now
Yeah, you just know. You know we're live.
your feet itself goes beyond just finance. It goes beyond just finance. If you build decentralized, I was talking with the guy who was talking about building a decentralized.
Okay. So, so we don't have much left to do. So we just have to compile our contract and then deploy on the calibration testnet. So has everyone run the npm run compile successfully? So you should have this response when you run it. Okay. I said, has everyone run the npm run compile successfully? This command that I highlighted here.
If you run the code, if you just respond on text now.
Like deploy contract, right? That was
No, just compile. npm run compile, not deploy.
NPM run compile. You run that right. Allow whatever.
Can drop a comment on Telegram if you've done that, or if you have any errors.
Okay, let me check it out.
No, I didn't say you should run the deploy script. I said npm run compile. Ayomide, just npm run compile. Why this is failing should be because you do not have test field tokens.
So we have an A student here who has even deployed.
Who has what?
tell her about it.
I said we have a first class student who has even deployed.
Oh, okay, that's nice. That's nice. So for the error IMD is facing, it should be because it does not have field tokens, test field tokens on the calibration testnet. So there's a link to a faucet. I'll send that now in the group chat. So you just copy your address and then request for tokens on that faucet. I'll send it now. So I'll just test the faucet now, just to be sure it still works. Okay, yeah, it does. Okay, so I've sent that in the Telegram chat. So when you visit the page, click send funds and then input your address. That's the address which is generated from the private key you are using. Yep, the the faucet works. So let me know if you're able to request tokens successfully. And if you are not, you can just send your address in the chat and then I'll send some test few tokens.
Don't change that. What's that? Okay, okay.
I've been able to do that. I okay. I'll send you some test few tokens now.
I need to buy. I need to buy and watch.
Okay. So I've sent you some test few.
Okay.
All right, thanks. So you can retry the deploy script and then let me know if it works now. Okay. So you can just let me know if you've been able to do that successfully on the Telegram chat or on the comments here. So let me also deploy mine. Sorry. All right. So that being done, uh, if anyone has an issue, you can also reach out on Telegram. But that should be all for today's session. So today so far we've had a recap of yesterday's session, known what FVM is. We've also had a look at FVM's architecture. We looked at actors, looked at the runtime layers, uh, we looked at syscalls, looked at the Wasm execution engine and all that. And then we've been able to see how to use hard hat to, you know, start a basic project and also deploy, compile and deploy basic smart contract address as well. So I think that should be all for today. Thanks guys. Thanks for sticking around. So over to you. You know.
Yeah, that's really an engaging session. Thanks, Timmy. Timmy, can you hear me? Well,
Sure, I can hear you. I can hear you.
all right. So we're kind of like curating the weekly tasks. So feel free to add on to the document
Okay.
to just keep them busy. We'll meet them.
All right.
So
Sure.
from here, thanks so much. And, yeah, our viewers on the virtual participants here. We appreciate you guys. Continue to engage on Telegram as we close for today. GM.
Right.